Aloha. Como mai to the Womb Talks podcast, where we dive into the space of creation and listen to the ancient wisdom of the earth that lives within us. Today, we will be talking about the sacred flame, talking about what it is, where it lives, and how we can interact with it. And yeah, so let's get into it. So, the sacred flame essentially is your vitality. It is the fire that warms your house. When we allow ourselves to see our bodies as our temples and as our homes, then we can see it as the sacred flame, as the flame that keeps the house warm, keeps the house alive. It cooks the food, it warms the water, it burns paper, it eats wood, it does everything that it needs to maintain that warmth and that power and light. Our sacred flame is our light, and it lights the way, it guides the way, and it is something that we can be magnetized towards. And so I've recently been calling my anger the sacred flame because, and I've been working with this emotion of anger since I was 16. I grew up with a lot of violence, and specifically with my mother. You know, she did her best, and at the same time she projected a lot of her own rage onto me. And so I carried a big baggage of anger and resentment and sadness. And when I moved to Iowa to finally decompress and let go and ground some stability in me, I realized that I was riddled. It was this flame was chaotic and reactive and scattered. And so, and at that point, I also made this state of, okay, I need to work with this. Like, what is this anger? Like, I need to start taking responsibility for this emotion and really understand it. And so, since then, that was my intention at 16, and it has slowly been a journey of taking responsibility, noticing what triggers me and what invokes this anger. And at the core of my being, I feel very joyful. I feel playful. I feel also very protective of my home. And my home essentially is my body and the temple and this earth. And I feel very passionate about standing up for what is just and standing up for equality. And so that's my core, is that I feel joyful, I feel playful, I feel alive. And with this programming that, like, with my aliveness being entangled with anger, shame started to become entangled with that. Because when I corresponded anger to violence and outrage and aggression and abuse, when when at the core, like, the flame is your aliveness, it really creates a twist to how we can hold life, like our capacity of living. And so, and I'm recently at this point. Of really embodying my anger as my sacred flame and really letting go. And I think what I'm letting go of is all the projected shame that was given to me through my external sources that, and, truthfully, it is very, like, the system that is around us right now, like the government system, the grocery systems, all these stores, and all the movies, it is designed and subliminally programmed to be afraid of our power, to be afraid of our anger, to be afraid of being sovereign, because of all the villains that were portrayed and all of these, you know, it we have been shown that people who are angry and violent are scary. Like, we have been shown scary people. And so, the fear that we feel to step into our power is natural, because then we would have to take responsibility for our choices and for what is happening around us, because truthfully, what is happening around us is because of us. Everything that's going on is because of us. We have bought it, we have paid for it, we have lived in it, we have built comfortability within toxicity. And because it was sold to us as a pretty penny. So, to accept our anger as our sacred flame is where I'm at right now. To accept our anger as our sacred flame, and truthfully, to accept our anger as our dragon. And mind you, the system that we live around us feeds off vulnerable systems. Immune systems that are low, immune systems that are inflamed, and immune systems that are frozen and are fawning, and also that are fighting. The system feeds off of humans that live in a reactive state. So, truthfully, when we use our vitality, our aliveness in a reactive state, we're merely playing the game perfectly the way that it's designed to play. And of course, we're afraid. Of course, we're scared, because that's the intention. That's the intention, is to ramp up fear so we are more susceptible to subliminal programmings. And so when we feel fear, and what is happening in between that subliminal programming is that it's teaching our bodies to be afraid of our power, to be afraid of our essence, to be afraid of nature. And we've seen that play out much, of being afraid of nature. I mean, with catastrophes. And so now, corresponding our anger with our inner dragon and our inner protector, when we start embracing our anger as our dragon, as our protector, as our knight in shining armor, as our as our lover, as our friend, and someone who really like stands up for us, it dissolves what is around us. Because right now, where we're at in the system is that nature is asking for us individuals to stand up for a cause, stand up for something, protect yourself, defend what is yours, claim, and not merely claim of like, this is mine, but claim that you are worthy of living here. And when we make a stance that we belong, here on this earth, and that we will take care of this earth, that is the purity of claiming, the purity of accepting and taking responsibility that these bodies, these human bodies, are of the earth. This earth has given us these bodies as a gift to experience her totality and her individual self. And what a gift. What a gift. So now the being, the mother that has given birth to all these bodies, is asking for us to protect ourselves, to stand up, defend, and know, and accept and embrace that our anger is nothing to fear, that it is the thing that is to be feared. And it is okay to be feared. For example, jaguars, bears, apex predators are feared for a reason, to gain that respect. Because when a being has the ability to kill you and they choose otherwise, they choose softness, that builds respect. And that is a quality. To feel that is a whole nother level. And us humans, we have that ability. We have that capability. We are that. We already do that. And so I'm saying that our anger, our sacred flame, is to be feared for a reason, because it can change. Fire changes. It brings change. It brings death. It brings birth. It brings fertility. It brings passion. It brings aliveness. It brings growth. It brings lightness. It brings pain. And it also brings, it brings water. And so the motion now is to accept our sacred flame, to accept our anger, to no longer be afraid of when we need to state a boundary, when we need to say no, 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 when we need to say no. There's no need to be afraid of that, because that's here to teach the next life how to live. Because as humans, it is our responsibility to teach each and every person who comes into our field how to love us, how to talk to us, and how to treat us. And if we don't teach them, if we don't take responsibility for teaching people how to approach us, then they will approach us with their own programs and projections. And sometimes, you know, So our sacred flame, our dragon, our life force, our vitality, our passion, the will to live is our anger. The other side of the coin, you would say. So it's time that we embrace, we give thanks to that anger. Yes, we can take responsibility for it being entangled with aggression and entangled with passivity and entangled with violence, with physical abuse. And we can give that grace. We can give that honor. We can say, I see you. I see that what you're doing is merely a desperate cry for attention, for help, for change. And you've only been taught how to express this boundary of yours in an aggressive manner. You've only been taught to express your truth in a violent way. And that's totally valid, because truthfully, our English language is rooted in violence. Our language today is rooted in violence. You know, people have to seek out non-violent communication because what we have been taught is not a doorway to our emotions and our feelings. We all know what suppressive natures are. Isn't that wild? That is wild. That our language that we've been taught since birth is rooted in violence. So to see yourself, express yourself in violence, from violence, with violence, you know, it's designed that way. You've only been taught that. So to shame ourselves for that is useless. It doesn't get you anywhere. It's like this is the time where we can hold ourselves with grace and know that what we were taught at since birth was never designed to bring us together. That's the conquering mindset. That's the colonial mentality, is that us humans were designed and programmed subliminally to be divided. And we have been living that out, playing that story out for way too long. And now is the time to embrace being together, because we cannot live this planet alone. It's boring, lonely, and quite frankly, we just simply can't do it alone. Building a house is always better with someone beside you. You can always build a house by yourself, don't get me wrong, and you can do it. But I know when you build an adobe house, it is so much more effective, and that word effective and efficient, when you have a team. So it's time for us humans to come together and love one another within our truth. And we can only show up within our truth when we accept our anger, when we accept our sacred flame and allow it to be our friend. Allow it to protect us from predators, from invasive species, from parasites, from foreigners, from the colonizers themselves. Let our sacred flame protect us from the colonizers themselves. Let our sacred flame burn who it needs to burn. And this is where the body, this is where I think I've learned where our mind hasn't caught up with the intuitive notion of what it's picking up. And sometimes because our body knows, and yet our mind doesn't. And when the body makes a so when our body pings us and our mind hasn't caught up yet, it's easy to be like, whoa, what? Like, we just shot a fireball, not knowing like what was happening, not knowing like what the body was picking up. And that's where we get to and must trust our intuitive nature. We must trust what our body says, because our bodies are of this land. They are rooted in this land. They are these immaculate intellectual bodies that are designed in an alignment with nature. So we must accept when we allow the body, just allow the body to be the body. And so, yeah, accepting our sacred flame and allowing her to protect us, allowing her to stand up for us, allow us to remind us that we are precious gems and that there is a standard to be treated. We must be treated at our standard, and not the only thing that will set that standard is our divine sacred flame, our dragon. Let our dragon take care of us. Let our dragon provide for us. Let our dragon hold us and really bring in that safety that we are all craving to feel. I love where, and that this concept came to me through a relationship I was dealing with, of really just being like, okay, what is anger? Because I was getting tired of just being like, I'm angry, and not and I wanted to bring understanding to this part of me. And really, when I came down to like, really all that anger is fire. It's the element of fire. It is, that flame. It really helped. It really helped me. And I felt so much at ease once I let that perspective integrate in my body. And mind you, I'm still very much learning how to allow anger to be there for me. It's a practice. It's a day practice. It is it's an allowance. It's a surrendering. And I'm working with that. And it's just how it goes. But what a blessing to be here now, to remember that our anger is here to protect us, to love us, to be that love, to remind us of our sacredness, and also with sacred rage. When we feel sacred rage for collective catastrophes, for example, genocide right now, there's a lot of genocide happening. so much genocide. There's a lot of people killing other people for things, oil and jewels, oil and gold. A lot of people dying so we can have cars that drive on the road. There's a lot of people dying right now so other people can have 14-karat gold chains drip down their neck. Children are dying right now. So, it's very righteous to feel that sacred rage, because that sacred rage is what will make a change. Because we can no longer stand for genocide. We can no longer be brainwashed and programmed to support genocide through what we are buying. There is so allowing our sacred rage to stand up for each other. And that's really what will help us feel like a family again, is when us humans remember to stand up for one another. To stand up for one another and to feel that closeness, to feel that belonging. Because there's a lot of prejudice, and the art of division has done a toll, has done its thing, girl. We have been divided, simply put. And now there's fear to come back together because of the judgments and the prejudices and the racism and simply the hate that still lingers on. These echoes that remind us, humans, that create blockages. Jealousy, forbidden sake, jealousy. Goodness gracious, that emotion right there is cancer. That emotion is a cancer. It spreads once it is felt in the body, once it is created towards someone. Distortion has already been created, and oh my goodness, it is a disease that spreads quick. And I pray that emotion gets put to rest very gracefully. That it is reminded that we are whole and we are unique and that we are not meant to be like everyone. And you are who you are, exactly as you are. And thank you so much for being unique and different. So, to conclude this, our sacred flame is our anger. And our anger is here to protect us. Our anger is also our dragon. Our anger is also that friend that stands up for us. And it don't look pretty. Sometimes we gotta clap back heavy. We gotta clap back hard. And it is what it is sometimes. And that's what builds respect. And that's what we are asking for, is respect. We need that RESPCT. Find out what it means to me. RESPCT. Find out what it means to me. RESPCT. Yeah. So when we embrace and accept our sacred flame back into our body, we are taking a stand as a living human being. We're taking a stand as a living sovereign being, and we're taking responsibility for our choices. We're taking responsibility for ourselves. And we are claiming that we are a lighthouse in this world. And now we are allowing ourselves to be a star in the starry night. That we are allowing ourselves to be bright and be bold and take up space and belong into the sky. Because the starry night is, you need every star to show up as it is in order to see the perfect picture, the beauty, the majesty that emanates from the night. And that is our sacred flame. Our sacred flame is the light that emanates from every living being. Everything that inspires us, ignites us, pushes us, challenges us, is our sacred flame. And our sacred flame is also our anger. They are hand in hand, one and the same. So it's time to embrace it, accept it, love it, honor it, and give grace for how it has shown up in the previous times. Forgive the mistakes that it has made, and be thankful for what we have learned from those moments. You know, we're human. I don't know what perfection is. I think that's a made up thing. We're not perfect. We will experience duality as it is our spiritual enlightenment journey. To be enlightened is to experience duality and to practice it and to embrace it and to love it. So that is my talk on Sacred Flame and what I've been learning lately about it and what it is. And and how to integrate it is to let it speak. Let it move through you. Let yourself feel passionate. Let yourself feel inspired by another person. Let yourself feel ignited. Let yourself feel challenged. Let yourself speak from that space. And you can even, with this beginning journey, you can use a phrase of like, hey, my sacred flame needs to speak right now. And she feels like she's going to speak a bit scattered, a bit chaotic. Because sometimes we do need to get some violent words out. Violence still needs to come out of the body just as much as grief and disgust and all the other emotions. And so really building that relationship with another person or with yourself, that violence still needs to come out. Like, it's better out than in. And so really building that relationship of acceptance of, this has to come out this way because I don't know any other way. So please give grace, just hold space, witness this moment, and know that it's not about you. It's about what needs to be released from my body. So it's just saying, hey, my sacred flame needs to speak this way. Yeah, it feels very scattered and hot and flamey, and know that it's not about you. So before, just preset what you're going to say with that. And I feel that that would bring a lot of compassion to the moment that is going to, whatever's going to happen. So yeah, I pray that every person feels their sacred flame as a beacon of light. And remember that we are worthy to feel that warmth and worthy to feel that care and safety. And I pray that we embrace it with loving arms and we hold it and we maintain that holding of it with humility and learning and strength, and that we are grateful for it every day because it is what fuels us and what gets to and why we get to see the world that we do. So, yeah. Cheers to everyone, and I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the womb talks, to my womb and what my womb is learning. And yeah, if you're interested in being on the show, let me know, hit me up, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Cheers. Aloha.